I'm Gloria Strode, and welcome to Straightforward. Today, I am visiting with our agricultural expert, Professor Donald Bacoat from Bacoat Farms. So, we have our own farm, and we have been growing fish and shrimp. And the last time you visited, we had the live aquarium, and you were able to teach us about all of that. But at our farm, we are growing many things.
Many things.
And since groceries are so very high,
yes,
people were waiting for those to come down, but that didn't happen. So all of us are going to need a garden.
Right.
I do not have a green thumb. I want full disclosure on that. My sisters can grow anything. That is not my gift. But I know I can depend on you growing great things and then take me in baby steps.
Okay.
Okay, so share with our audience. Of course, we know you in your other life outside of Bacoat Farms. You're teaching farmers the things they need to do to be successful. So share with our audience how they can start a garden and the things that you are already growing at your farm.
Okay. Well, to start a garden, you pretty much want to decide what you want to grow. Whatever is in your heart and your taste buds, that's what you want to do. So first you select that, then you go get the seeds. And
we got to get seeds.
Yes.
Okay, so we don't get one with like a turnip with a root and then just start it from there.
You could.
Okay, see, it's really not my thing. My daddy used to do all of that, and he knew how to grow anything. He could put anything in a pot, and tomatoes would be everywhere.
Right.
Well, if I tried it and everything died. So it's not as easy. You think it's easy because you know how to do it. Okay, so
yes, that's a shortcut. You can start with seeds, or you can start with a small plant.
Okay.
It's going to cost you a little bit more money to buy that small plant versus buying the seeds. You can get a whole bunch of seeds for a little bit of money, but then when you buy that small plant, it's going to cost you a little bit more. So it depends on where you want to start. If you want to start from the seeds or you want to start from the small plant. It's a little bit easier to grow from the small plant. If you don't want to start with the seeds, that's fine. But yes, first you just want to decide what you want to grow. Then also you want to make sure whatever you want to grow is adapted to our climate here in Georgia.
Okay.
In the South.
So that's why we have mangoes and pineapple and coconuts grow tropical.
Correct.
So we have to select. See, this is science. We have to select those vegetables and plants that agree with the Georgia climate.
Yes, unless you have a greenhouse.
Okay, now we don't have a greenhouse. Yeah, that's a whole nother story. Now, I do know people that do have greenhouses, but see, they're way advanced. Yeah, those are serious gardening people. But for the regular people that might have one in their backyard, a patch, so what do? We turn the soil, how do we do that? Or do we have, I've seen urban gardens where they have the raised beds.
Right. There are a number of ways you can do it. You can turn the soil, or you can do a raised bed. A raised bed is a lot easier for the most part, more or less, because most people with a raised bed, you're going to make maybe a 4x4 or 4x8 area, and then you're going to put a whole bunch of compost or your soil in there, and usually...
So regular dirt, or we got to buy special dirt?
You want to get special dirt. You want
not Georgia red clay.
No.
So we can't grow in the red dirt. No, really, see, that might sound crazy, but for people that don't have a green thumb, you got to take us elementary level.
Right.
So we will need some black dirt, as we would say in the old days. Okay, black dirt, not red dirt. Okay.
Some nutrient-rich dirt. You could use some regular dirt or soil, whatever you would like to call it.
Right.
But if you do, you would have to add. You would need to amend it with a lot of fertilizer.
We would need to amend it with a lot of fertilizer. So what does that mean? We're going to add in the fertilizer?
You're going to add the fertilizer to your soil.
I love brilliant people. He's like, you're going to have to amend that. Okay, so we're amending the soil, people. So we're going to put the fertilizer in our regular black dirt, as we would call it in the South, because I know you're from a different part of the country, and we're not using white dirt, we're not using red dirt, because in the South people eat white dirt. You probably didn't know that, but you're probably going to learn a whole lot being down in the South. Okay, and so once we do that, then we have to decide based on climate what we're growing.
Yes, correct. Then you're putting your plant or your seed into your soil. If you're starting with a seed, you want to start about right now. Well, it's going to take a little while for it to grow to get ready. So after that first frost, you want to have a nice small plant about right after your first frost. So then that way, if you're starting with seedlings, and then you can put them out in the field.
Okay, after the first frost. Well, I've already failed because, see, I can't pay attention to all of that because that's too much science for me. So I got to wait till the first frost to know what I'm doing with the plants.
I'm sorry, until after the last frost.
Okay.
I said the first frost, the last frost.
Okay, but see, then how am I to know that? If the weather people will tell me that, or I'm just supposed to go out there and look at it? Now, this might sound crazy, but I'm just telling you, I am a silk plant person. I do very poorly even with the ones in the house. So I know that outside thing is not going to be working for me. But for those that want to, because the groceries are high, you can grow what? Cucumbers, collard greens.
Collard greens are more of a cold weather crop.
Okay.
So you could be growing them right now.
Okay.
But in the springtime, most people are getting ready for the springtime. So your tomatoes, your herbs, your cucumbers. Your summer squashes.
Summer squash. So we got a fall squash and a summer squash.
Yeah, a whole bunch of different types of squash, yes.
Okay, so that's why we get the yellow ones, and then when we see the Thanksgiving, it's a different thing than what we have in the spring.
Yeah, different types of squashes, yes.
Okay, see, this, I'm already out of my league. So it's almost too much. And it's science, but you have to have a green thumb and an interest because you got to pay attention. You just can't plant the seeds and leave them.
Correct.
Okay, that's probably the person I am. And pray that they're going to work. What we're going to do is we're going to go to our break, to our sponsors, and we'll be right back. We'll be right back after word from some of our sponsors.
Straightforward is brought to you by State Senator Ed Harbison, serving the citizens of Georgia's 15th Senatorial District and on the front lines for veterans every day. Progressive Funeral Home, family owned and operated since 1952. The George Ford legacy of high standards continues today in the compassionate and professional services provided, a touch of dignity for those who care. Progressive Funeral Home, 4235 St. Mary's Road, trusted by generations. Whole Patient Healthcare. Dr. Jada Rhymes Bacoat is board certified in family medicine. She believes the best patient care includes practical, individualized lifestyle changes. Located at 1338 13th Avenue, Columbus, 706-641-2080, or visit wholepatienthealthcare.com.
And welcome back to Straightforward. I'm enjoying this wonderful visit with my amazing friend, Professor Bacoat of Bacoat Farms. And on our last visit, I learned so much from him that we actually grow shrimp. I didn't know that. I was so uninformed. I thought the only time we got shrimp was out of the Gulf of Mexico or somewhere, but I did learn that the last time. We grow fish.
Yes.
And those are all things that you've done in your training and in your career. And just for our audience that didn't catch you the last time, you are a Morehouse graduate. Yes. Or attended Morehouse and went to the University of Miami and then up to another water place. So you are really a fish yourself, like the water, and then you are into healthy eating and living. And so on the farm, you have selected certain things that you're growing at Bacoat Farms. So what are those things that you selected, and how do those grow? When do you plant those?
Right. So first off, we selected plants that we like to eat, and also the plants that grow in our climate here. Some of those plants are like your traditional tomatoes, cucumbers, your herbs like rosemary.
Rosemary. Okay.
Rosemary, thyme, oregano.
So you're growing rosemary, thyme, and oregano at Bacoat Farms?
Yes.
Okay. And tomatoes?
Tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, blueberries.
Blueberries. Okay, blueberries. So that's a Georgia. We can grow blueberries.
Yes.
Because if you see them in the store, they are little container and they're very expensive. So you can grow your own.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know we were a blueberry thing. Okay.
Blueberries are one of the top crops in Georgia.
Is it?
Yes.
You know, in my mind, I'm thinking cotton because I'm from a different time. No, because when we would drive to college, that's all we would see in South Georgia was pecans and cotton back in the day. So I didn't know that blueberries was a big, because I know in Florida strawberries are. Okay, so I didn't know that. Okay. So why are they so expensive in the grocery store? That wouldn't be your issue. No, because it's a little container. You've seen them.
Right.
Okay, so how does that work? When do you plant those?
For the most part, in the springtime, like right about now, your time to start planting your blueberries.
Okay.
Before the season gets up and going, now's the time. It's for the blueberries to start, the roots start growing about now, and the leaves are going to start budding in maybe a few more weeks.
So they look like flowers, or they just look like green weeds? Because sometimes when we're driving and we're passing the fields, right? It looks just like weeds to me, but you know, it's just green. And then later you'll see a flower, and then later you see whatever that fruit or whatever, even with the cotton.
So the blueberries pretty much look like a bush.
Really?
A small bush. Like right now, the leaves haven't really sprouted yet, so it's like it just looks like a brown bush. You probably won't know the difference between whatever other kind of bush and a blueberry bush unless you really knew what you were looking for. Okay.
See, so that's not going to help beginners like me, because then we would be pulling it up, throwing it out, thinking it's dead.
Possibly.
So they're brown right now.
They're brown right now. In a few more weeks, they're going to start budding their green leaves. A few more weeks, and then you're going to see the flowers are going to.
So what color are those flowers? Different colors, like a white or?
Trying to remember. I want to say like a pinkish.
Okay.
Pinkish whites.
Okay, like that, a blush. Okay, so it won't. You'll know it's really just not like a weed. You know how we get the dandelions in the yard? So it'll be clear that it's something.
Yes, you'll see it. You'll see a lot of pretty flowers.
Okay.
And I know a few years ago, if the flowers bloom before the last frost.
So we got to follow the weatherman for the last frost, right?
If they bloom before the last frost, it's possible that you might have a diminished crop because the cold, the freezing weather might kill your blooms and kill your fruit. It's possible.
And those are things that the farmers always worry about, because in Florida, when we get a freeze and they have the oranges, then they have water they keep spraying on them to try to keep them from freezing.
Right.
Okay, so you work with all that kind of stuff too. Okay.
So yeah, there are different methods trying to keep those flowers, the blooms alive so that we'll have more fruit. Putting water on them is one way to keep them warm. When an ice encapsulates the flower, it gives them a little bit of heat. And you're going into the science and how you're transforming between water and ice, and that energy just releases a little bit of heat and it encapsulates the blossom to keep it warm. But for the most...
See, I thought that would kill it, so I'm learning something. And so what about the lemon? See, I thought citrus would be Florida, but I saw pictures with your baby had a basket and it was full of lemons.
Right.
And you grew that over at Bacoat Farms.
Yeah, so lemons it depends on what type of lemon, what type of citrus fruit you have. Different citrus fruits can...
So now we got different types of lemon.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. No, really, I always learn something with you. Okay, so different types of lemon. What kind of lemons are we growing at Bacoat Farms?
We have your Myers lemons. We have
What is it?
Myers.
Myers lemons. Okay, so what does that? Is it a big one, little? Because some of the lemons, I've seen them like real big. And then in the store, you get the little ones like that.
Yeah, Myers are the ones that you usually find in the store.
Okay.
However, we also have another type of citrus plant, which is similar to a lemon. It's acidic, called a yuzu.
Yuzu? Mm-hmm. Okay. It's orange or is it yellow?
It's a yellowish orange.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Yellowish. And so you have those at your farm?
Yes.
Okay. So what does it taste like? Does it taste like a grapefruit or a lemon?
It tastes more like a lemon, but it has a little
grapefruit kind of tinge, or a red-orange thing, or?
It's hard to describe.
But can you make lemonade with it?
Yes, you can.
Okay, all right.
And
so see, now you got to bring me one of those.
Okay.
Okay, because I've never experienced that. All I know is the traditional yellow, what you call it, Myers. Okay, because I'm a lemonade person. And you know it costs more in the restaurant when you want lemonade versus tea. So now I just learned that. I can get it over at Bacoat Farms. Okay. Okay.
And what's special about that plant is that it can really tolerate low temperatures, down to like almost 0 degrees.
Really?
Yes.
And it'll survive?
Yes.
Okay, so is that why you selected that?
Yes.
Because Georgia, we do get some frost and freezes. Okay.
Right.
See, I always learn something. You know, you taught me we grow shrimp. Now I got to find out what that special lemon is that's orange and a little pinkish and whatever that is. Is that something where you all just crossbred something, or it's just nature itself?
It's nature. That particular plant, the yuzu, is from, it's an Asian.
Oh, okay. It originated in Asia. Okay. So I learn something every time. Okay, so what we're going to do is go to our sponsors, and we'll be right back. We'll be right back after word from some of our sponsors.
Columbus Pediatrics GA, working together to build lifelong relationships between our staff and patients by consistently providing compassion, excellence, and value with 2 locations. The Old Town office at 3580 Massey Lane, Suite F, 706-596-8667. The Midtown office, 1900 11th Avenue, Suite A, 706-323-3400, ColumbusPediatricsGA.com. Barbara's Cleaning Service, a 5-star commercial service with satisfied customers in Georgia and South Carolina, built on the principle that every detail matters. Barbara's Cleaning Service, a new season building a family legacy. The Autism Hope Center. Diane Pope has dedicated the last 3 decades ensuring that families had support and resources for their loved ones on the autism spectrum. Join the Autism Hope Center for fellowship and resources, located at 200 Hamilton Road, Suite B, or call 706-604-6333. Muskogee County Coroner Buddy Bryan. Buddy has set high standards for himself and his staff, ensuring that every citizen is treated with dignity and respect, regardless of circumstances. Buddy cares about crime prevention and is always excited to speak with students and community organizations. Reach out to Buddy at 706-653-3260.
And welcome back to Straightforward. I always enjoy my visit with Professor Bacoat because he's always teaching science, and he is the most humble, laid-back, brilliant scientist, one of the ones that I know. And in a sidebar, you're telling me all these other things that you got going on the farm, and I just don't know how you keep up with everything. I know you have a farm assistant, somebody that helps you there, and it's a lot to keep up with.
It's a lot.
So you've already, one of my favorite things I was sharing, we went to the break, when I was pregnant, my cousin climbed a tree, got me some plums, and then she went to Shiloh, Georgia, and got me some muscadines. And I ate so many of them till I was just sick. But you have blackberries, you got blueberries, muscadine. So
Yes.
when do you, because muscadine is like a grape.
Yes.
Okay. Just a different, it's a difference between a muscadine and a scumnadine or whatever we call it in the South, which is probably not the correct pronunciation. We have our own way of saying things, pecan, pecan. So when do we plant that? Can people plant those in their backyard? Can they be in a raised bed? I need for you to share that with folks because I don't know if you've been in the grocery store later, but everything is just really, you can't almost get any of the fresh fruit or the vegetables. When you paying $4 for 2 squash, and you say, we got winter squash and summer squash.
Yes.
Well, I just paid with 2 in the pack, and it was like $4, and they were not big or wonderful, So share with us.
Okay, so yeah, now is the time. Springtime, right now is the time to get your plants into the ground, like your blueberries, your muscadines, whatever you want to grow. Get them into the ground right now, because as the weather warms, that's when they're going to start to take off, start to really start growing. So for your blueberries, usually you start off with a small bush. The blueberries, most people buy their bush and put it into the ground as opposed to a seed.
Okay.
You could start from a seed, but most people do it that way.
Okay.
Your muscadines, the same way. Usually get a small clipping or a small plant of your muscadine.
Okay.
It's right
and we
now.
can get those at the hardware store. Is that usually where people get them? Okay.
Nurseries.
Or nurseries. I'm sorry, Professor, I'm sorry.
Yes, the
You can tell it's a cultural difference. See, where I'm from, my neighborhood, we went to Winter Hardware. But the nursery, we can go to the nurseries and get them. Okay, all right. And so we're going to get the little bushes. And that helps us from trying to do it from scratch.
Correct.
Okay.
Makes it a little bit easier.
Okay.
So yeah, you're putting it into the ground now. You're digging your hole, putting it into the ground.
Now, how deep are these holes, depending on the size of the bush?
Yeah, it depends on the size of the bush and then the container that it's coming in.
Okay.
For the most part, if you have a container about this big, you might want your hole to be 3 times as big.
Okay, see, that's what I need to know. So if the container is 6 inches, then you need 18.
About 18
I got you.
inches.
See, and a lot of folks who's never grown anything like me, I promise you, that might sound simple and stupid, but that really, they need to know that. And then you have to, plant them far enough apart where they're not killing and growing into each other?
Yeah, so yes, it's going to depend on the plant, how far apart you want to space your plants from each other. Because, once they bloom and they're blossoming and fruiting, they're going to get bigger. So you don't want them to crowd each other.
Okay.
So you don't want your plants right next to each other.
Okay.
So space them apart.
Okay, so we can do the summer squash now, the cucumbers, tomatoes.
Yes.
So what about watering? How do we irrigate? Do we save the rainwater? Just tell me how we do that, because...
So for the most part, you want your soil to be moist. You don't want it to be totally flooded and
muddy. We don't want it muddy.
Nah, because that's going to make your crop, the roots of your crop, they're going to get soggy, and that's going to kill your plant if you have too much water.
Okay, that's probably what's happened with mine. And you can overwater it.
You could overwater them.
Okay, but you just want the soil to be moist.
Yes.
And not muddy wet.
Correct.
Okay, so let me ask you this, which is probably, as a professional, you probably don't even believe in it. The Miracle Grow. Are we putting Miracle Grow when we're doing these raised beds? Or we just put Miracle Grow on our hanging plants, like a fern or pothos or whatever you call those things? My sisters they have green thumbs. They just have a lot of plants. I don't. I'm just going by what I heard. Well, you put the Miracle Grow in there, but we're not using it on the vegetables.
I haven't used Miracle Grow.
Okay, see, because he's a professional. Okay, so we're not using Miracle Grow. That's only for your hanging plants. Okay, the spider plants and all of those. Okay.
Well, I need to see what the contents are in the Miracle Grow.
Okay.
It's possible that you could use it if it has.
Well, what fertilizer are you using? Don't say from the cows and all of that. That's what you're using?
I like to use my fertilizer from my fish water.
Okay, so fish water.
Yes.
Okay. All right. See, I didn't know that. I just learned something. So you're going to the pond on your property at the farm?
I have an aquaponics system.
Okay, then. All right. Explain that.
So aquaponics is when you're growing your fish and your plants together.
Okay.
And you have your fish usually in one tank, and you might have your plants in another section of your system.
Okay.
And the water just recirculates over and over again. That's one way you can grow them. You can have a decoupled system where you have your fish in a tank, and your plants could be in the dirt as well, but you can use that nutrient-rich water from the fish and put it into your plants over there in the dirt, in the soil, and your plants will be very, very happy.
Okay, so we can decouple. And then what was the first one? The
Aquaponics.
Aquaponics. I tell you, I was a good student in school, and I made good grades in science, but I just was never exposed to that level. So I'm always intrigued to sit with you because it's like, what? Okay, so we can use our water from the fish
Yes.
over on the vegetables.
Yes.
Okay.
That's just one way.
Okay.
That's the way that I like to use.
Okay.
But also, if you don't have fish, you don't have an aquaponic system, you can also buy your compost, which can have like all the nutrients in there.
Okay.
Or if you just have dirt or just regular soil, you can add fertilizer to that soil for your plants. There are different levels of fertilizer. Most people use they call it a 10-10-10.
A 10-10-10 for the people who want to grow a garden. Okay.
That's your most traditional type of fertilizer that's for many types of plants, but different types of plants will want different levels of nutrients.
Well, I just want to thank you so much. Now what you've done is given me homework. I got to go look up those two things so I can be more informed. And then hopefully the next time we get together, we're going to do a field trip. And we're going to come out to Bacoat Farms so we can see the water where we're growing the shrimp and then all of the vegetables and things that you have going on there in between the work that you're doing training all our farmers. I tell you, it's good to be brilliant because you always got a skill that you can use somewhere. So I thank you so much for coming, and we will certainly do this again. All right.
Welcome.
Thank you. This has been Straightforward. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Until next time, be blessed.
What up, world? What's up, Columbus? Be sure to tune in every Sunday, Straightforward with Gloria Strode, right here on NBC 38.